Hi everyone, and welcome back to Talking to Teachers. My name is Chris Height, and today I'm joined by a very familiar face from our history department here at CBA. Today I'm with Mrs. Meehan, a history teacher as well as a club moderator of clubs such as Art Club and Yearbook. How are you today, Mrs. Meehan?
I'm doing well, Chris. How are you?
Good. How are you? I'm good. Yeah, I just came from your class. It was good. Pretty
wasn't bad today.
Yeah, it was pretty informative. I learned a lot actually, so it was great. But anyway, we'll start off with the question I start off with everybody. What's your CBA origin story? How'd you end up teaching at CBA?
So it's kind of a little bit of a long story, actually, but I'll try to shorten it. So Mr. Meehan's family is kind of from the Jersey Shore, originally from Brooklyn. And we kind of always knew we wanted to end up here to raise our children, but it's actually very difficult to get a job at CBA, especially in the history and religion department. There's very few openings. People don't tend to leave this community. So we were teaching at the Christian Brothers School in Washington, D.C., St. John's College High School, and we actually loved it there. We got to know even some CBA teachers and colleagues of her. For example, we knew Miss Carroll for years before we came here. And we kind of always saw this as our eventual home when we moved to the Jersey Shore, and we were kind of watching for jobs for a while. And basically it came down to we had to make a decision, do we stay forever at that Christian Brothers School, or do we kind of gamble that there'll be a job at CBA for one of us, if not both of us? And we made the right gamble at the right time, and I took an opening in the history department, and then the following year Mr. Meehan came in as dean of students.
Oh, that's pretty awesome origin story. Every teacher, it's unique because every teacher has a different one, and I love hearing it, and that's definitely a cool one as well. Yeah. But now going into your teaching career, so you obviously teach a lot of different courses here at CBA in the history department. What course is your favorite to teach and why? And that's not like students, I would say more like subject, because obviously nobody has favorites.
No one has favorites, right? Of course not. No, that never happens. Well, I'm lucky because I do have a situation where I teach kind of all the classes that if I could pick, I would pick the classes that I teach now. So I teach World History for freshmen, AP European History, where you are with me, and then AP Art History, which is also a senior kind of elective AP class. I would say I like them all for different reasons. The World History class, I've always kind of taught. So it's like, to be honest with you, it's not very difficult for me to teach. And teaching freshmen is rewarding because you kind of get to watch them grow into young men over the course of the year. You can teach them some basic skills. It's nice. You can form some relationships that hopefully they'll come back and see me again when they're a senior. But when it comes down to basic subject matter, like at the core of who I am is an art history teacher. It is absolutely my favorite thing to do ever. So when I first came here, Miss Carroll was here, and she had the class, and she was doing a wonderful job. So I knew I would have to, sit in the background for a while, which I did. So once she retired, the opportunity was given to me to take over the class. I had taught the class for 11 years down in DC, and it was just wonderful to be back in that space. And, I feel at home with that subject matter and that environment. It's a great subject because it's when you teach that at the high school level, most students don't have the opportunity to learn that stuff. So they do feel when they leave that it's information and knowledge that they didn't have before they came in. So you feel like you've done well, and it's an interesting subject that not a lot of people know about. So for me, that's it.
No, yeah, certainly. And, even in AP Euro, I feel like we get a lot of that AP art history action because a lot of guys take both classes. And you actually, I feel like you show us some art, and I'm a big art guy. I'm kind of a little disappointed I didn't take that class, even though I still love AP Euro. But now, going more specifically into your class, your teaching style, how do your unique assignments, like most recently, both of them were recent, the brackets of absolutism or even the Thanksgiving feast, how do they make the way you teach? How does it enrich the way you teach?
Well, I do feel like sometimes there has to be some fun, even in an AP environment. It can't be all work all the time. And sometimes, you can have fun assignments that create students what I call learning by accident, right? So this brackets of absolutism challenge, my AP European history students have to take basically NCAA brackets and fill it with absolute leaders from Europe. And basically what it does is it just kind of fills your brain with excess knowledge that you can use, and I don't necessarily have to lecture about in class. And then also, like, you think about like days when let's be honest, teaching is not at the forefront of your mind the day before Thanksgiving break because, students are checked out already. That's just like part of life, right? So if you can fill it with any kind of activity that would be fun, but like maybe kind of someone might learn something, it's still a win for a day before break, a day before Thanksgiving break, Christmas break, spring break. So, we did this assignment where we did a Thanksgiving feast where students in AP Euro had to create dishes from either the old world ingredients or new world ingredients. And it ended up being like fun and we actually learned something. So I think that it's important to have a balance in these like high level classes between like expectations of like major essays and learning like vast quantities of material and also like being able to like hang out and like have community.
No, yeah, absolutely. And the Thanksgiving feast, been one of my favorite assignments, definitely in my upperclassmen years, but maybe in my whole CBA career. I really had a great time with it. It was really cool to see everybody cooking.
Yeah, and we're going to do it again next year, I think. It was something I tried out. I actually had an idea for it last year, and it never kind of worked out the way I wanted to. So this year to kind of put it together and have it actually work was really cool.
So yeah, it was absolutely awesome. So now switching gears kind of towards your more like extracurricular side. So yearbook. So actually, before I even was a CBA student at open house, yearbook was the first table my parents, go talk to the yearbook people. So we actually met way before COVID. I was like this like tall. I was in 8th grade. I remember being you and Profe, and you guys were so nice to me. And even though I'm not personally in yearbook, I kind of regret not being in yearbook over these 4 years. How has yearbook changed since you and Profe like took over, and how has it become different and improved? That type of thing?
So yearbook is an interesting thing because it's a very kind of labor-intensive activity that relies so much on student involvement. When we first took over, we had a major goal in mind, and the goal really was to create a yearbook club that was really student run, so that the students were the ones like picking a theme and creating pages, and that is a difficult thing to do. Creating a club where people are going to have buy-in in a situation where it's so labor intensive, right? It's very easy to get kids that are very excited about it in September, and then right when deadlines are looming in May, everyone has like their summer brain on. So I have to give credit where credit is due. Profe Wittes is fantastic at recruiting students. So, we get along very well. We have, similar and different skill sets. And one of her skill sets is creating a club that has, this massive group of students that all have interest. And she's very good at holding kids accountable for reaching deadlines. And we also have a good time. So that was goal number one. Goal number two was, and you can actually see it if you look at the books. See, the first yearbook we did together was, we call it the brown one. It's like that dark brown yearbook from about 5 or 6 years ago. And if you look in it, it was something we were very proud of at the time. And you could look through it and you could still be impressed. Like it looks great, but there's not a lot of copy. And we don't have every single picture captioned. We don't have, for example, sports records in there or anything like this, captions of sports or recollections of sports seasons, recaps and stuff like this. So over the years, we've started to add those things. So if you look at the most recent yearbook, you'll notice, every single student is captioned. We have copy on every single page. So it's kind of, as the staff grew, we were able to grow like those specific elements of the book, which I think has improved the book over the years. And hopefully we'll continue to do more of that as time goes on.
Sure, yeah. Ever since, I was a freshman, the yearbook has been so impressive to me. I think it's so awesome just to see all these great moments of the school year captured in, one book. And it's just, I think you guys do a great job. Really.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and a lot of credit has to go to the entire community, because it will be like the 11th hour at deadline day on, May 28th, and I'll be, running to Mr. Lutz or, Miss Magarella or Mr. Frake, and we're saying, who's this kid in this picture, because we have to get every single person in that book labeled. So it's really a testament to the entire staff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And now I'll wrap it up with this question. I kind of asked similar questions to other teachers as well. What do you hope to see for the future of the clubs you're involved in at CBA, as well as your general future here at CBA? And you kind of already touched upon it, but just in a more general sense.
I think that with yearbook, I think it's just a continuation of, now that we have this club, and the club leadership core is largely underclassmen, which is unbelievable, right? So these are students that are going to be invested as time goes on. I think it's just a continual improvement, of that. And, it takes some creative endeavor every year to kind of come up with a new theme and all this and this stuff. So just staying fresh and new with that. I think with Art Club, this is something that I think is very important at CBA because it's not something that we've had in earnest before. And I think that there's a number of students here that, need that club for not just mental health, but to explore an academic interest that would be otherwise unavailable. So seeing that grow, I think, is important. More than that, I would just love to see the art history class especially just continue to have the enrollment that it does as a way of pushing the arts forward here on campus. So I would say that would be it.
Oh, well, that sounds amazing. Anything else you'd like to add? Any message for the CBA community from Mrs. Meehan?
Just have a great, relaxing holiday. Midterms coming in before Christmas allows all the students to really take a deep breath. And I think especially the seniors are coming down to some college admissions and, kind of taking time with family and taking time to relax with friends over the break, I think is very important.
Absolutely. Well, Mrs. Meehan, thank you for joining us today. It was great. For Mrs. Meehan, I'm Chris Height. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.